It's Breaking the News with Des Clark.
Hi, I'm Des Clark and this is Breaking the News, a show that breaks the week's news and asks four opinionated panellists to put it back together again. Now, joining me this week is impressionist and comedian Rory Bremner, and with him is stand-up Susan Riddle, and facing off against them is comedian and writer Elaine Malcolmson, and joining her is stand-up Stephen Buchanan. In the news this week, Nicola Sturgeon has offered a formal apology to people accused of witchcraft between the 16th and 18th centuries, many of whom were executed, and unnervingly, several have already got in touch thanking her. Jason Donovan has visited a late-night kebab stall called Jason Donorvan. It's hoped the business's title will attract more customers than when it was named after its owners, Sam and Ella. And a farm in Northumberland has welcomed a new addition to its flock in the form of a five-legged lamb. The farmer said the lamb is 1 in a million, while the butcher described it as buy 4 get 1 free. Right, you've met the panel, let's crack on with round one. And this is the Broken News round, where our teams have to guess two major stories of the week that have been mashed together into one single news headline. So, Rory and Susan, can you tell me what our first story in the mashup is?
Spring booster jabs are now being offered
because of the increased cost of oil.
Letters are also going out offering
£1.60 by the end of the week.
Children aged 5 to 11.
Said the Chancellor's crazy and hard to digest.
Susan Riddle, what do you think? Any ideas to what our first story may be?
About the rising cost of living?
Yes, it's the news that the UK could face the biggest cost of living squeeze in 50 years. The Resolution Foundation predicts that inflation, which measures how the cost of living changes over time, will peak in April at 8.3%, much higher than the Bank of England's forecast of 7.25% back in February. A government spokesperson acknowledged that everyone is affected by the financial pressure households are facing, noting that even Jacob Rees-Mogg has put nanny on a 4-day week. So the cost of living crisis continues. Susan, have you noticed prices going up?
I have noticed it, and the bad news is, like, the cost of living is rising. That's just a given. But the good news is the cost of dying is going down. There's never been a better time to pop your clogs. Honestly, have you seen these adverts on the telly with the funerals? They're shocking. So there, it's just like, oh, Janice, we'll cremate you for a £5, then we'll send it to your son. We'll leave it in the purple bin, and then don't bother with a funeral or anything. It's too dear. Your son just wants your house now. Just hurry up and die, Janice. Hurry up and die.
Rory, what do you think? Cost of living crisis is here, it continues. Have you noticed prices going up?
I think the funny thing is, though, it is disproportionately hitting the well-off. I mean, Prince Andrew's cost of living has gone up £12 million in the last month.
What do you think about this then, Stephen? The cost of living crisis continues. Have you noticed this? Prices going up?
No. I'm lucky enough to be a sad loser who still lives with his mum, so there she is there. And she pays all the bills, so... but what I have noticed is the more that she shells out, the less I get for pocket money, so... Yeah.
Who ever thought we'd look back on austerity and go, oh, the good old days? It's rough. It's all about the impact on your pocket, though. I keep hearing that, the impact on your pocket. And I don't have anything, so worst thing can happen to my pocket is I leave a tissue in it in the wash.
So here we have it. We've got the cost of living crisis. We're trying to find our way around it. What we're looking for are money-saving tips from our panel. I'll start with you, Susan.
Don't have pals. Just don't have... See, when I think about what I've spent on my pals' wedding presents, right, I could have had a down payment on a house or something, pure raging. I think that wedding guests should make, like, the happy couple sign a prenup, before they gave them a gift. Just a wee contract, like if the marriage doesn't go well, Susan gets her George Foreman back. Do you know what I mean? Just
Rory, we're all looking for money-saving tips. Have you got any for us?
I've been stockpiling gas. And you just turn on all the knobs in the kitchen. And I've left the house, and by the time I get back, take that global supply chain.
Stephen, what about it then? We're all looking for these money-saving tips to get us through it. Have you got any for us?
You know how when you find a tenner in an old coat and it's the best feeling ever? What I've started doing is purposely planting money in all my old clothes. So when I go back to it years later, I get a nice wee surprise. But you've got to be careful because I've started finding money that's no longer in circulation. I've been pulling out paper fivers, £1 notes. I went into a pair of shorts the other day and I pulled out 500 pesetas. That'll come in handy the next time I go back to 1975.
The rising cost of living is the correct answer. Rory and Susan, you get 2 points for that. Now to you, Elaine and Stephen, what was the other story we were after?
Is it there's a new vaccine rollout and also the COVID cases are going up?
This week, Scotland's National Clinical Director, Jason Leach, said that rising cases of COVID in Scotland should not be a cause for panic. Jason Leach's message to the country not to worry comes as the spring booster programme begins for some parts of society. Now, British Airways have objected to the World Health Organisation classifying the Omicron variants as BA1 and BA2. saying the terminology damages their brand. At which point a spokesperson for Corona Beer pulled out the world's smallest violin.
A lot of the cases are because of this more transmissible Omicron BA2 subvariant. I mean, they didn't even give it its own name, and I think that's just made it really angry.
Stephen, what do you think about this then? Obviously, what this tells us, the new vaccine rollout, it's a reminder, isn't it, that COVID hasn't gone away.
Definitely, it's still very prevalent. Like my gran had it last month. My girlfriend got it 2 weeks ago. I tested positive this morning. So we need to be very careful, guys, is what I'm saying.
But on the vaccine rollout, I think if they did vaccine roll-ups, then I think more of the anti-vaxxers might take it up. You'd find. It's that demographic.
That's the way around it. Elaine, any thoughts on that? We're getting more boosters.
I'm looking forward to getting another booster because they always send me to different places. So I like to pretend I'm like a visiting dignitary, being shown like how the council spent the tax. So in my mind, I've opened an indoor bowling facility in Castlemilk. Just make the most of it.
Susan, what do you think about this then? We've got the new vaccine rollout. What's your thoughts?
I think it will be easier to get the Waynes to get it because, you'll get out of class for a start, right? So that's always good. But also, they just have a way of making things more fun than adults. Like, remember when you got your BCG and you would just punch your pal in the arm? I think that should be the government's campaign to get the Waynes to get it. Just, get the booster, punch your pal in the arm, it'll be a laugh.
Well, no, but Susan's right. I mean, you've got to incentivise it. You could donate it. You could donate a booster to somebody you like, or you could donate a booster to someone you don't like. Yeah? I'm donating mine to Novak Djokovic.
Do you have your own self-imposed COVID rules?
I'd say I like to follow the science, and trust in the statistics. So, I mean, the latest survey was 1 in 19 Scots have COVID. And that's a scary statistic, right? But it's also a useful statistic. Because, for example, if I was organising a party and ordering a buffet, if 1 in 19 Scots have COVID and I know 3 friends with COVID, that suggests I have approximately 60 friends. Now, you need to remember that 3 of them won't be coming to the party because they've got COVID, But roughly speaking, allowing for vegans, you're looking at about 100 vol-au-vents.
And at the end of that round, the teams are on 2 points apiece. Now, so much of our news is about public opinion, and this week we spoke to presenter and storyteller Tariam Boyd and presenter Kirsty Wark. So, Elaine and Stephen, what story do you think Tariam is on about here?
I used to have a lot of opinions on the place, you know, overrated, undeserving title holder. Then I actually lived there for a while and I found it very lovely, and also found that you could wear a scarf in a pub with no hassle. That blew my mind.
Is it the population boom of Edinburgh?
Yes, Edinburgh's population has increased by more than 12% in the last decade, 3 times faster than the national average. And a previous study shows that they're amongst the happiest people in the UK.
I think maybe initially people have gone to visit and then just found themselves stuck in traffic.
Mystery solved.
Yeah.
The problem with this survey is that they did it in August, so they worked out that Edinburgh had a population of 4 million. It's got the world's largest concentration of buskers. 1 in 3 residents had a show at the Pleasance. Yeah. So why are people moving to it? I think it's because the property is so affordable. Ha, ha, ha.
I moved there before lockdown. I moved in with my boyfriend. He was from Edinburgh. And we split up, so I wasn't very happy. But I can't blame that on Edinburgh. That was just his fault. It was just him.
Edinburgh is considered to be the happiest place to live in Scotland. Do you believe that, Stephen?
No, I don't believe it. Actually, I think probably some of the wee islands are probably more happier, you know, off the coast. I've been to quite a few of them, and every time I've went there, it's been amazing. There've been big sense of community. Everyone gets together, have big songs and dances. Granted, this is usually after they've just burnt down the Wicker Man, but they're very chipper when they do it, so...
To be fair, doing that, they're saving a fortune in fuel bills. What do you think about this, Susan? It wasn't really the experience for you. Why do you think the people of Edinburgh are so happy?
You better not be happy. Actually, annoys me that he could be cutting about Edinburgh pure happy. And he's still got my Hoover.
I think what we're seeing here is that everyone thinks maybe that their own hometown should be the best. So I'm going to ask each of our panellists to give us a selling point of their own hometown. I'll start with you, Stephen.
I'm from a wee place called Old Kilpatrick, and there's not much to it, to be fair. I went on Wikipedia to try and see what the selling point was, and I went to notable people. I was half expecting my wee name to be there. Like, I've been on Breaking the News now, guys, you know, but I wasn't there. What was there, first thing, was... just many soldiers from Old Kilpatrick perished during the First World War. And then under that was a guy called Aidan Quinn, who's apparently the fastest Deliveroo rider in the UK. 2019.
It's a claim to fame, mate. Yeah. What about you in this then, Rory? We're talking about bigging up where we're from. What's the selling point of your hometown?
Yeah, well, I'm Edinburgh, my hometown.
Yeah.
I think it's got to be the trams, isn't it? It goes from the airport... straight to the Stand Comedy Club. That's great. That's why I like a transport system designed by comedians for comedians. That does it.
I love that. Yes, the dramatic increase in population for Edinburgh is the correct answer. 2 points goes to Elaine and Stephen. So, Rory and Susan, what do you think Kirsty is talking about here?
Sometimes girls feel a bit judged, actually. I just think sometimes it's tough. I played hockey. It was kind of cold and wet on a Saturday morning. Didn't much like the outfit. Loved being on the team. Tennis, football, judo, hockey. Girls just want to have fun.
So, Rory, what do you think Kirsty's talking about then?
This is girls' sport, isn't it?
Yes, we were talking about the news this week that many girls who used to be sporty fall out of love with sports by the time they are teenagers. The research has been compiled by Women in Sport, and they cite a variety of reasons for the drop-off, whilst urging the sport, leisure and education sectors to work harder to keep girls and women engaged in sports.
Personally speaking, right, when I was a teenage lassie, it was just so easy to get out of PE. because at the mere mention of menstrual cramps, your teacher would just be like, all right, especially if it was a guy. In fact, I can see some guys seizing up in the audience just now at the mere mention of the P word. But there's a push towards getting guys to be more comfortable talking about women's stuff and all that, but I don't want that. I want you to be uncomfortable. I want you to be uncomfortable in the dark and just ignorant, right? Because then that means that I can get out of doing more stuff. Like my ex-boyfriend, the one I just mentioned, he was really, really ignorant about women's stuff, right? And this is a true story, what happened. On our third date, I was in a bad mood. And he was like, Susan, what's wrong? Is there something wrong? Like, is it me? And I was like, do you know what? I'm just going to be honest with you, right? I've got PMT. And he said, is that thing that soldiers get when they come back for the war? See how it never lasted.
Let's look at the stats. But it said like by 17 to 18, just 3 in 10 girls would describe themselves as sporty. But that's actually gone up from 1 in 5 in the Spice Girls.
There's actually a net increase. Rory, what do you think it is about PE that can put people off?
I just think it's because, you know, you're just getting on with your day, right? And somebody suddenly tells you to take your clothes off, run around for an hour for no apparent reason. I mean, you know, it's only in schools. If that happened at work, you know, they go to a tribunal, wouldn't they?
Stephen, what do you think it is about PE generally that puts a lot of people off?
It's like kids are just brutal in general. Like, they slag you for tying your shoelaces, never mind taking your trousers off in front of them. Because I used to get, like, slagged, and then I would go and no one would do anything about it. I would go and tell my mum, and she'd be like, don't worry, Stephen, in 10 years' time, you're going to be rich and famous, probably on Breaking the News. And he's going to be in jail. And I was like, that's what we're going for here, Mum, the 10-year plan. You can't phone the school or anything, no.
But she was right, Stephen. You won in the end. But obviously we do want to encourage physical activity. So what could we do to make PE more exciting?
I think betting.
Elaine, what do you think? What would you do to make PE more exciting?
Well, do you know, I feel like a fool because I was led to believe that this problem had been solved by Joe Wicks. Where's he now? I said, take back his MBE and bring back Lizzie Webb.
Yeah, the drop-off and girls taking part in sport is the correct answer. 2 points go to Rory and Susan. You're tuned to Breaking the News on BBC Radio Scotland with me, Des Clark. Now, this round is all about who's in the news, so I will play you a clip of a mystery person. All you have to do is tell me who it is. Rory and Susan, you're up first this time. Who is this?
Well, when I've been up in my place for about 30 or 40 years, it's certainly a different form of life. I've never seen so many people.
That wee hermit guy that walks about the forest.
Hang on. Let me check my answer sheet. That wee hermit guy walks about the forest is the right answer. I will accept that. His name is Ken Smith. You'd be forgiven for not recognising Ken's name, as he spent 40 years living in isolation without electricity or running water in the Scottish Highlands. However, this week he made a rare appearance in Glasgow on the red carpet for a documentary that has been made about his life. Now, you might think that as a hermit, Ken Smith wouldn't know anything about the pandemic. However, he found out about it in autumn 2020 when Margaret Ferrier turned up at his cabin asking for a cheeky staycation. Do you see the attraction then of Ken's lifestyle, Susan?
It's my life goal to be a hermit. So that is my end point. This is why I'm doing comedy, right? I've got a whole plan. I want to do comedy, get rich and famous, and then say something controversial and get cancelled. So that everybody just leaves me alone in my big mansion and I can just be a hermit myself. I love my own company. Like, my pals, I'm always cancelling plans with them. So I'm, my name on the group chat is the Chancellor of the Exchequer. That'd be a good hermit.
It sounds class. It just sounds amazing, because I'm not that great socially anyway. I'm terrible with names. I'll ask someone their name and then immediately forget to listen. One time at a party, I asked a guy what his name was 3 times. And 3 times he told me his name was, and I wish I was making this up, Stephen Buchanan. That's my name, by the way, just in case you didn't know.
So we've got this amazing hermit that has emerged in a documentary out this week. His name is Ken Smith. Do you see, Elaine, the attraction of Ken's lifestyle? Do you see the attraction of being a hermit?
No, I don't think it'd be for me. I got annoyed during COP26 when it turned out Deliveroo was not a member state of the United Nations. My pizza took 20 minutes extra because it had to go around the blue zone.
Oh.
So I don't think it's for me.
The shame of it is that I know a really fast Deliveroo driver. Wee tip, you want to move to Old Kilpatrick? Obviously, Ken Smith is a hermit and has been for 40 years. If not being a hermit, what would you like to do for the next 40 years?
Survive.
If not being a hermit, Stephen Buchanan, what would you like to do for the next 40 years?
Well, I would like to teach self-defence classes, Des.
Sure.
Here's one tip, I'll give you it for free. What I do whenever I'm walking the main streets is I always keep my keys between my knuckles, right? That way, if someone tries to attack me, I'm ready to just give them my car.
2 points to Rory and Susan. That was Ken Smith. Right, Elaine and Stephen, it's your turn now. Who is this and why are they in the news?
That's how people treat you. They treat you like, oh wait, you're so precious that you can't do anything for yourself. Everything should be done for you. And it's very infantilizing.
I think that's Cameron Diaz.
It is Cameron Diaz. The former actress, now entrepreneur, has revealed that she rarely thinks about her appearance anymore and never washes her face. She opened up about how much more free her life was since she stepped away from Hollywood back in 2015. Now, as well as the Hollywood blockbusters, Diaz has appeared in numerous independent films. Her favourite is the gritty drama set in Glasgow called There's Something About Mary Hill.
I listened to this and she says she never washes her face. She says, I'm like a wild animal. Like, I'd just like to take this opportunity to speak on behalf of wild animals because I've seen the life of mammals and they do wash their faces. In fact, they risk their lives every day going to that water hole to wash their face. So retract that, Diaz.
Susan Riddle, what do you think about Cameron Diaz's comments? Is there a pressure on everybody to look good?
I'm one of these people, like, see, the worse I look, the better I feel, right? I love cutting about like a pure tramp, so I do. I love it. It actually had a low point, though. I had to kind of sort myself out because what happened was I had a hangover and I shoved my trampy gear on, went to the coffee shop because I had to get a coffee because I had stuff to do, and the guy offered me a suspended coffee. Few people are laughing here because they know what that is, right? I didn't know what it was. I was like, oh, what's that? Is that like a frappuccino or a flat white? Just one of these newfangled coffees the kids are drinking? And he's like, no, that's just coffees that other customers buy for homeless people. So I took it. Go there regularly now.
Let's hear about your beauty regime. Elaine.
The products I use are actually heavily influenced by a celebrity that you might know called Secret Santa.
Stephen, what about you? We've had Cameron Diaz talking about her beauty regime. Can you tell us about yours?
My main thing recently is I've been getting quite a grey beard. I don't know if you can see it, it's starting to go grey. So I went into the shop to buy Just for Men. But the woman was like, oh, it actually looks quite unnatural, that hair dye. What you should do is use a dark brown mascara, which has worked wonders. I've still got a grey beard, but my eyelashes look cracking.
Rory, we're talking about Cameron Diaz now in the stage of
Yeah.
her life. She's an entrepreneur. She's got her own brand of wine. But what product would you put your name to?
No, see, on Cameron Diaz, I think bringing out your own wine and not washing has to be connected. Basically, she's too drunk to find her own face. That is what's going on. Yeah, in a year's time, she'll be giving interviews about how she doesn't wear shoes and her latest product is singing to strangers for spare change.
Well done to our teams. Yes, Cameron Diaz is the right answer, and 2 points goes to Elaine and Stephen. And it's time now for our final quickfire round, which is all about deciphering the numbers in the news. So I will read out a headline. All the teams have to do is fill in the blanks. So get ready, teams. When we run out of time, you'll hear this.
Find out who you are and do it on purpose.
There you go. That's Dolly Parton there telling you how to sign on. Right. Fingers on your buzzers. Here we go. Man shares his home with 120 what? Susan.
Light bulb.
Let's keep kicking it around. Man shares his home with 120 what? Elaine.
Kardashians.
Just everywhere you go. There's another one. Man shares his home with 120 what? Stephen.
Odd socks that he refuses to throw away just in case.
Man shares his home with 120 what? Rory.
People in fancy dress having a cabinet meeting.
Absolutely brilliant, but the answer is just something a little bit different from this week's news. A man shares his home with 120 tarantulas. Loves these spiders, that's his thing. There you go.
Find out who you are and do it on purpose.
Oh, there it is. That's the klaxon. Dolly has partoned. It's all over. And at the end of the quiz, our winners this week are Elaine Malcolmson and Stephen Buchanan. And commiserations to Rory Bremner and Susan Riddle. And we'll leave you with the breaking the news. Breaking news just in. Ernest Shackleton's ship Endurance has been found 3,000 metres underwater off the coast of Antarctica. It's been described by historians as a significant find and by Edinburgh estate agents as a bit of a fixer-upper with a moderate commute. A live bat that caused chaos at a US screening of The Batman was released by a moviegoer as a prank. The cinema operator confirmed the perpetrator had pulled a similar stunt at a screening of Ant-Man, but nobody noticed. And a couple who won £1 million in the lottery say they are double winners after the windfall allowed them to pay for both their daughters to have IVF treatment. As a thank you, their granddaughter is to be named Lottie, and their grandson is going to be called Bonus Ball. The news is broken. I've been Des Clark. Goodbye!